Well, imagine what it would be like if you're homeless. Where would you sleep tonight? And on top of that, where would you bathe? Where would you use a restroom? Where would you cook your food? Where would you even eat? At the human level, without a decent place to be sheltered, your life just starts falling apart, and rapidly.
When it's rainy, we really can't wake up as easy as dry days. We feel more exhausted. Depending on what you're living in, like in a car or a van, you'll wake up to a lot of moisture.
Ultimately, the responsibility of the fire department is just to respond to whatever the nature of the call is, do an assessment, treat them as you would any other individual, and then see what resources they really need, whether it is a trip to the hospital for a medical problem, a legitimate medical problem, or if it's to be referred to some other social services. But we respond regardless, try to find out the nature of the call, and then once we determine whether there is or is not a true emergency, find out what avenue to send them down to get them the help that they probably most need.
I think the community is negatively affected by homelessness because it is a drain on resources. We've got people that are without shelter who are inappropriately going, for example, to the emergency room when they really don't need to go there, but they're going there seeking shelter. We have people that are inappropriately taking resources that in our jail systems. Some people think it's better to stay in county jail than it is to be out in the rain and the wind and the cold during the winter time.
It causes people to do things they wouldn't normally do just to survive or just to help somebody in their family, either biological or their street family, to help them survive. So
some people may not be affected by who they surround themselves with, but when I started becoming homeless, I was surrounded by myself by a lot of bad people, and it kind of made me have more of an aggressive mood.
Homelessness, though, in South Kitsap, from what I've noticed, at least in the demographic that I work with, it's a lot of couch surfing. A lot of people that they're just staying at friends' houses for a week, or they stay at a friend's house for 2 weeks, or for a month, but then they have to move on because they get kicked out, or whatever payment they were giving, they weren't able to give anymore. You see a lot of things like that. You don't necessarily see a bunch of people just like sleeping on the side of the road.
Kind of like, if I don't have a place to stay, then why am I even focused here at school? Because I'm so stressed about where am I going to sleep tonight? What are we going to have to eat tonight? Who am I going to, am I going to be safe sleeping in a car with my family? And it's really hard to then expect those students to come here and put on a face and go to 4 different classes, and really just focus on school.
Some people would not be friends with me just because I was homeless.
If you're homeless, it's hard not to just experience the trauma of becoming homeless. In many cases, individuals are victimized. In many cases, people experience post-traumatic stress disorder. In many cases, their depression and anxiety and any other types of mental illnesses that they might be dealing with are only exacerbated. They're made worse by the fact that they're living outside. When somebody is living out in the woods or under a tarp or in an encampment, their priority is not getting treatment. Their focus is on their survival.
One of our county commissioners, Charlotte Garrido, has taken the lead in putting together a leadership group called the Homes for All Leadership Group. They've been meeting once a month for about a year and a half typically about 50 individuals attending the meeting, and we're just looking at homelessness on a holistic approach. I'm really pleased that we worked together this last month with the City of Bremerton and the Mayor, Mayor Wheeler, and come up with an innovative program to do homelessness prevention. The city has taken $100,000 from their annual 2019 budget and directed it to the Housing Authority, and we're going to use that $100,000 for three specific purposes. One is to provide small rental assistance each month to help families pay the difference between what they can afford and what the landlord is charging. Second component of this program is to do eviction prevention. If a household is less than 2 months behind in their monthly rent and are being faced with an eviction, we'll use some of those funds to stop the eviction and keep them in their current place of residence. And then third component of the program is to use funds to pay for security deposits.
Okay. We have services here at the high school as well as district-wide, so not just for us, but we have a homelessness liaison who kind of can handle getting transportation. It's called the McKinney-Vento, and they can help with transportation, with food. Here at the high school we also have Friday to-go packs, meaning it's like snacks that the students can take. They sign up, then they just get a kind of discreet pass that they can come and get it anytime they want.
So the way my program works actually is that it's somebody who has law enforcement interaction. So sometimes they'll call me for different reasons, but if it's a homeless person, say I go down to Salvation Army or something and meet with someone, then we have a conversation and we determine what kind of services they need, and then I help to connect them with those services. So we try to advocate for people.
One of our mission statements is to change the world for homeless youth. And that means that we work with youth one-on-one through our programs, job trainings, case management. We're able to work on some of those tangible things that they may not have, like getting an ID, getting a birth certificate, things like that. So we try to help them in those real tangible solid needs, getting resources, getting other agencies involved that can help them. But one of the other things that we try to do at the Coffee Oasis is try to transform the community around the youth. And one of the ways that we do that is by just advocating, getting information out there about homelessness. I mean,
here in Bremerton, it is breakfast and lunch 5 days a week to anyone that is suffering homelessness or find themselves in need. It is help with material assistance, whether it's bus tokens, getting your ID, getting your driver's license, help with that, emergency motel vouchers. And for us here, it is also a 4-month-long emergency low barrier shelter, which means that you do not sign up ahead of time. You show up and we find a place for you to lay your head out of the cold. So we run that from December to March.
It's a fast-growing crisis, very unfortunately, and we live in a society that makes it very difficult to get out of homelessness. There's so few services that we can offer, and fewer spaces within those services, and so that's difficult. It's also the perception of homeless people.
I think the good starting place is just to understand the significance of the problem, to understand how serious it is and how it impacts everybody, and then to figure out where you want to invest your time or your money to help people. Not a lot of us have the time to maybe go and work with homeless kids in tutoring or mentoring, so maybe giving money is the way to go. Some of us might have the time where you can actually get involved and help people learn how to read, or help people find a career, or help people, maybe give them your clothes or things to help them look better in a job interview, or get them training on how to do an interview for a job. But there's lots of different ways, again, through community organizations, through church organizations. It's just kind of find where your passion is that you can help and then get involved.
But beyond that, we need permanent housing options for people that are experiencing homelessness. We need a place where people can go and have a place to live, and they live in a supported environment. So their housing would have on-site support services like health care, like mental health care, like access to treatment services right there where they live. That's called permanent supported housing. We need to bring that model to Kitsap County.
Affordable housing is probably the biggest part. I mean, even if affordable housing and drug and alcohol addiction services and mental illness. I mean, it almost has to be three-pronged in that way. You have to deal with their addictions, you have to deal with their mental illness, and there has to be an affordable place for them to live.
But it really is one of those things that can happen to anybody. It's not just this small population that, you know, it's all their fault kind of thing.
We're not being helpful when we use broad generalizations.
Being out of a house made me open up to a lot more people and made me more aware of my community around me.
When we opened this building 3.5 years ago, I heard that over and over, no one cares about us, no one really wants to help. And I said, this is a testament that the money that was raised for this building for you to come to was because people cared about you, and that there was this idea that there are people out there that care about the homeless.
What I want the community to understand is that not all homeless people are just out to get drugs and alcohol. Some of us help the community even with being homeless. A lot of us help out other people who aren't homeless. Some of us help out with people who need more than we do. Even though we don't have a lot, but we still have a lot of love to give.